Hi, mystery resurfaced here. Today, I'm going to explain a Japanese movie called Tomie Unlimited, released in the year 2011. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Tsukiko Izumikawa is a secondary school girl and a member from the photography club. She appreciates taking artistic pictures of all that she runs over in. One day returning back home, she stops under a construction building and snaps pictures of it. She's with her dearest friend Yoshi, who can't figure out why Tsukiko doesn't take pictures of something wonderful like a sunset. The girls run into Tsukiko's elder stepsister Tomie, who goes to a similar secondary school. Tomie's with a boy named Toshio. Tsukiko has affection for him and is overwhelmed by envy on seeing her stepsister coexist with him. She calls Tomie, proposing to take her photos. When the elder sister is standing under the construction building, Tsukiko clicks rehashed sincere shots. Meanwhile, Tomie claims that she knows how Tsukiko feels. She says that a strong sensation of envy could cause Tsukiko problems later on. An astonished Tsukiko is going to ask her what that implies. Suddenly, before that, a steel cross tumbles off the highest point of the building. In practically no time, it smashes Tomie's neck and penetrates through her body. Everybody freezes in shock at the appalling sight before them. Tsukiko's camera tumbles to the ground and takes pictures of Tomie all alone. Simultaneously, Tomie's eyes became red as she gazes at Tsukiko. After a year, Tsukiko actually hasn't moved past Tomie's death and every now and again gets bad dreams of that day. On the anniversary of Tomie's birthday, she and her parents cut a cake in her memory. Out of nowhere, Tsukiko hears a knock on their front entryway and strolls towards. Sadly, the person outside claims that she's Tomie. Tsukiko rushes to her parents, who are similarly as astonished. Her father makes the way to uncover Tomie standing outside. When the family moves past the shock, they embrace her, glad that she's in some way gotten back to life. They don't for a moment even annoyance asking how she resurrected and simply welcome her back to the family. Tomie claims that she's hungry and has a terrible reaction when given the cake. She requests that her parents cook something better and fancier for her return. Then, she notices a framed image of herself that Tsukiko had taken just before her death. The parents take a look at the image affectionately, yet Tomie punches it. Thereafter in the evening, Tsukiko goes to Tomie's room to find her taking bath. She welcomes Tsukiko into the bathtub with her and laughs about the crazy thought. The next morning, Tsukiko strolls into the lounge area to see her father smelling and licking Tomie's hair. When Tsukiko calls him out on it, he says that he missed his little girl. Tsukiko is stunned by the abnormal way of behaving. It's as though the new Tomie has enchanted her father. Outside, she observes her mother burning every one of the photos in her collection. When Tsukiko stops her, her mother says that Tomie had requested that she do as such. Tomie shows up and she and Tsukiko battled for an image. And during the battle, Tomie is pushed towards a wall. The father lashes out at Tsukiko for harming his little girl that he fiercely hits her with a phone wire and possibly stops when Tomie asks him to. While injured, Tsukiko goes to the shower to alleviate the aggravation. However, Tomie gets into the bathtub with her. Tsukiko tells her that she's generally felt remorseful for her death when unexpectedly the lights begin to gleam while the younger sister takes a look at the lights anxiously. The older one doesn't appear to mind. She draws nearer to Tsukiko and kisses her. A couple of moments later, Tsukiko gets it together and drives her older sister away. Tomie at last claims that she knows that Tsukiko has consistently had a keen interest in her boyfriend and was envious of her relationship with him. Following that, she clears her hair aside to uncover the scar from the mishap that killed her. To Tsukiko's fear, a tongue rises out of inside. Followed by a deformed tumor that talks. Tsukiko pushes Tomie aside and races to her father. In any case, they don't believe her when she claims that her sister is a beast. Interestingly, they request that she apologize for being mean. Tomie shuts down every one of them and says that she would rather not stay in the house any longer. She gathers her things and prepares to move out as her father pleads her to stay. Tsukiko goes shocked. Tomie laughs at the family for accepting that she is really their little girl. When Tomie still doesn't consent to stay with them, the father betrayed her and kills her. He regrets about it immediately, however can never really bring his girl back. The family then conveys the dead body to the washroom and butchers it to discard it. When nobody is looking, Tomie's eyes move and gaze at Tsukiko. The next morning, the family awakens in the corridor, depleted from the other day. While packing lunch for Tsukiko, her mom unintentionally drops a cluster of flesh into the lunchbox. At school, Yoshi sees that Tsukiko is drained. However, on being asked, Tsukiko doesn't tell her concerning the occasions the other day. The instructor acquaints a new student from another school with Tsukiko. Other shock, she is Tomie once more. In spite of the fact that she perceives her sister, the others in the class don't appear to know who she is. During the midday break, Tsukiko tells Yoshi regarding this, however she excuses the matter. After opening the lunch box, Tsukiko sees a smaller than usual Tomie's head inside. She freaks out and runs outside to toss the crate in the waste. Later Yoshi comes searching for her, and hears a noise from the junk after checking. She also observes the lunch box with different Tomie faces. She frenzies and attempts to run, yet the smaller than normal faces broaden their unusually lengthy tongues and choke her to death. Back in the house, the family had unloaded Tomie's executed head into a bin. When the father is distant from everyone else, the head rises out of it and requests for help. The father believes that he's daydreaming, but Tomie demands that she really wants to feed on a family member to recover her body. Ultimately, she persuades him to kill his wife for the reason. In between, in school, Tsukiko crush. Toshio approaches her and inquires as to whether she is yet mourning her sister's death. They have a genuine chat about everything, after which Tsukiko feels quite a bit improved. She's glad that Toshio is at long last coexisting with her. He even calls her to the judo club to take photos of their team. While they're busy, Tomie shows up in the training room, daring the men to a battle. Toshio is stunned to see her alive, however he overlooks him completely. A man ventures forward to battle her and she amazes everybody by defeating him with a next to zero exertion. Following that, Toshio asks her how she got back, yet Tomie doesn't vaguely recall him. She tackles him to the floor and kisses him on the lips. Tsukiko sees this and is hit with an ache of envy. After school, she asks the new Tomie who she really is. When she doesn't get an answer, she undermines her to avoid Toshio. After getting back, Tsukiko sees that her mother is missing and her father has a peculiar packet that he claims contains medicines, but Tsukiko doesn't bother and essentially goes to her room. Her father takes care of the medication and feeds to Tomie's head. Then, we figure out that he's now killed their mother at Tomie's request. Tomie's head requests that he cut out their mother's tongue and feed it to her. The father doesn't scrutinize her and does as she says. The following day, Toshio overlooks Tsukiko and strolls hand in hand with Tomie. A sorrowful Tsukiko runs away. Later in the studio, she's fostering a few pictures when Yoshi approaches her. Since Tsukiko didn't realize that Yoshi was dead some time back, she chats with her ordinarily. Yet soon Yoshi uncovers her shoulder that has a similar tumor as Tomie had before. The odd tongue alarms Tsukiko and she takes off. She at last goes into a room where the boys from the judo team are hanging out. They says that they have the inclination to kill and are moved by something. When Tsukiko takes off once more, Yoshi comes into the room and gets some information about her. They see the tumor that talks and get upset. The team holds her intending to kill her as a result of the tumor. Then, we see Tsukiko running down the hallway. She runs into a room to see Toshio wounding Tomie over and again while laughing derangedly. Tomie's body lies in her very own blood after being called. Toshio wakes up and apologizes to Tomie for killing her and Tsukiko requests that he take off. However, he simply needs to remain with the dead body. Out of nowhere, the blood begins moving all alone, bringing about another Tomie. The new Tomie and Toshio kisses. Tsukiko watches with dismay. Awfulness. Back in another room, the judo team is going to cut. Yoshi's head off with some nursery scissors. While Yoshi pleads for her life, the tumor on her shoulder urges them to kill her. The decapitator in her head tumbles to the floor. Following that, they get thoughts of disposing of the body. However, before they can imagine something, the headless body ascends. The tumor has supplanted to the head and assumed control over the body. She dispatches at them, then runs outside. Elsewhere, Tomie and Toshio keep making out angrily. Tsukiko stabs Toshio of his neck and kills him. She then wants for Tomie to die and wounds her in the face. The effect makes Tomie's body to burst, splattering blood all over. Following that experience, Yoshi's headless body pursues Tsukiko through the school. While taking off, Tsukiko coincidentally finds the judo team. Seems they are all dead. She disregards them and runs higher up, hindering herself in a room. And she just starts believing she's protected. A dustbin begins to move from inside. It arises the head of the prior Tomie, who is being taken care of by her father. She's grown a pair of bushy legs, yet has no middle. Indeed, even her hair has some of her heads hung to it. Tsukiko panics and withdraws in fear, just to be gone up against by one more Tomie who emerges from a storage. At this point, Yoshi has also gets into the room. They encircled Tsukiko and she cries in dread. Then, one of them draws nearer to kiss her. Out of nowhere, Tsukiko awakens in her bed, understanding that she was simply dreaming. After sitting down with her parents for breakfast, she figures out that she's their lone kid. She laughs at herself for trusting that the fantasy was true. All of a sudden her father begins to eat bunches of hair off of his plate. She hurries to her mother for help, however stops when she sees that her mother's head has flipped around. Both the parents then pursue Tsukiko, determined to kill her while attempting to take off. Tsukiko runs over a huge Tomie head in the living room. The head delivers a few centipedes with her face on it. The huge bugs pursued Tsukiko through the house and kill her parents in the way. When Tsukiko hurries to move up the steps, she observes Toshio, who attempts to push her down. She overwhelms him and drives him over the steps. Seconds after the fact, Yoshi also shows up and attempts to do the same. She's also pushed down and is eaten by the bugs. Tsukiko attempts to lock herself inside her room, yet needs to stop when the monster Tomie shows up at her entryway. While Tsukiko takes photos of her, making her disappear some time later, she goes to his room and tells the huge Tomie that she's the only person who knows her. The sisters appear to accommodate before the centipedes take over. Tsukiko proceed to kill her. In the last scene, we see Tsukiko leaving the house, looking like Tomie. She goes through town and sees Tomie's face on each and every other person. Later, she meets an outsider and consents to return home with him. In the accompanying scene, we see him cutting her severely. Tsukiko's dead body investigates the mirror and sees Tomie's face. The sisters take a look at one another and laughs insanely. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.